The lumbricals are intertwined with the tendons of the flexor digitorum longus. The third layer of muscle tissue is important when concerning pain at the ball of the foot. Here, the focus is on the flexor hallucis brevis, flexor digiti minimi brevis, adductor hallucis, the oblique head, and the transverse head. We're going to begin our work with a lacrosse ball right next to the wall. Place your foot beside the wall and start with the lacrosse ball near the front of the foot or the ball of the foot. Slowly press your foot over the ball, moving the ball towards the heel. Once you reach the heel, continue your pressure directly into the tissue connecting to the heel. As you stand still with pressure, pull the toes up, then flex them down into the floor. Continue this process for 2 to 3 rounds. Then proceed to work on the ball of the foot, stopping incrementally to flex the toes and relax. This process should take anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes to work your way all the way back to the heel, stretching the fascia on the bottom of the foot. Be sure to use firm pressure as you flex the toes and pull them up. Be sure to breathe and relax as you work the ball towards the heel. Next, we're going to use a bouncy ball near the ball of the foot, in the arch, and near the heel. The point of this is to push with even pressure into the floor, allowing your foot to collapse or fold over the ball for 20 to 30 seconds. Then, lift your foot, move the ball to a new area, and begin to stand again with even pressure on both feet. Even pressure means do not lean away from the pressure, but keep the pressure on both feet for 20 to 30 seconds. Repeat this process 6 to 7 times all over your left and then right foot. You can work from the ball of the foot all the way towards the heel. Remember to relax and stand evenly on the ball. The final layer of muscle tissue is between the metatarsals, called the plantar interossei. These are small muscles, but powerful for squeezing the foot tight. Work each finger between each toe until you have reached the webbing. It may take you some time to get to this point because it is an extreme stretch. Regardless of how deep you get your fingers into your toes, create a squeeze on the ball of the foot, creating separation of the metatarsals. Begin to move the foot back and forth, creating a big stretch. You will continue this anywhere from 30 to 40 seconds. Using the fingertips, we will begin working the top of the foot. Bend the toes up and press your fingers between the toes up the foot toward the ankle. This will create greater relaxation of the muscles that hold the toes together. Repeat this process 6 to 7 times, then return to the pivoting motion back and forth on the ball of the foot. For the foot, we're going to be looking at 4 different layers of muscle tissue. We'll begin with the most superficial ones. This initial layer is where we will focus first, with the bulk of our work being done on the flexor digitorum brevis. On the inside of the foot near the arch and heel is the abductor hallucis, and on the outside near the heel, the abductor digiti minimi. The second layer is made up of the quadratus plantae and the lumbricals. The lumbricals are intertwined with the tendons of the flexor digitorum longus. The third layer of muscle tissue is important when concerning pain at the ball of the foot. Here, the focus is on the flexor hallucis brevis, flexor digiti minimi brevis, adductor hallucis, the oblique head, and the transverse head. We're going to begin our work with a lacrosse ball right next to the wall. Place your foot beside the wall and start with the lacrosse ball near the front of the foot or the ball of the foot. Slowly press your foot over the ball, moving the ball towards the heel. Once you reach the heel, continue your pressure directly into the tissue connecting to the heel. As you stand still with pressure, pull the toes up, then flex them down into the floor. Continue this process for 2 to 3 rounds. Then proceed to work on the ball of the foot, stopping incrementally to flex the toes and relax. This process should take anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes to work your way all the way back to the heel, stretching the fascia on the bottom of the foot. Be sure to use firm pressure as you flex the toes and pull them up. Be sure to breathe and relax as you work the ball towards the heel. Next, we're going to use a bouncy ball near the ball of the foot, in the arch, and near the heel. The point of this is to push with even pressure into the floor, allowing your foot to collapse or fold over the ball for 20 to 30 seconds. Then, lift your foot, move the ball to a new area, and begin to stand again with even pressure on both feet. Even pressure means do not lean away from the pressure, but keep the pressure on both feet for 20 to 30 seconds. Repeat this process 6 to 7 times all over your left and then right foot. You can work from the ball of the foot all the way towards the heel. Remember to relax and stand evenly on the ball. The final layer of muscle tissue is between the metatarsals, called the plantar interossei. These are small muscles, but powerful for squeezing the foot tight. Work each finger between each toe until you have reached the webbing. It may take you some time to get to this point because it is an extreme stretch. Regardless of how deep you get your fingers into your toes, create a squeeze on the ball of the foot, creating separation of the metatarsals. Begin to move the foot back and forth, creating a big stretch. You will continue this anywhere from 30 to 40 seconds. Using the fingertips, we will begin working the top of the foot. Bend the toes up and press your fingers between the toes up the foot toward the ankle. This will create greater relaxation of the muscles that hold the toes together. Repeat this process 6 to 7 times, then return to the pivoting motion back and forth on the ball of the foot.
This guy.
All right, so we're going to get started here on our day. So let's go through our iDedicates. Lori's mom doing dialysis 3 times a week, so we'll continue to pray for her, and Ethan with the stage 4 liver and bile duct cancer. My friend's wife who was diagnosed with cancer, she's treating that all naturally, so we're going to continue to pray for her through that. And then Sky is coming off of her medications, so continuing to pray for her through that transition, the body trying to detox that chemical while trying to still take care of her. That's going to be really tough. But still praying for Cheney with his getting a continual glucose monitor to make sure that he doesn't have any diabetic spells. And then still praying for Randy for his aortic aneurysm. So just continuing to work through that. Hayden, at least we know Hayden was safe at one point from what I heard.
Yes.
Well, we don't know what safe is. He's alive is maybe more what we're feeling. He's not quite, they don't quite know where he is now again. Things are changing there. So continue to pray for them and their family. And then Kira with her recovery.
Breast cancer, keep going.
What's that?
I said I haven't heard anything more.
Okay. So nothing more, but just continue to pray for her healing after that surgery. Our verse of the day, be not quick in your spirit to become angry, for anger lodges in the heart of fools. Ecclesiastes 7:9.
Good.
Don't be a fool.
Prepare for pelvic
I have to tell myself that continually.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I'm a fool. There's certain cases I am angry.
Yeah, I can get there quick.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and set up for these pelvic tilts.
1. Pelvic tilt.
Remember, as we get started for pelvic tilts, we want to make sure that your core is extremely tight. So what that means is you want to start first with a Kegel. So that's the pelvic floor muscles. It's like you're cutting off going to the bathroom. And then create this pelvic tilt where you smash your low back into the ground, okay? If that's kind of confusing, do a small crunch, lift your shoulders off the ground, right? Your head and shoulders. You should feel your core get really tight. Then from there, set your head and shoulders back down, keeping your core as tight as possible, okay? It's not going back down to a relaxation. And yes, that should be difficult to do. It's not an easy process, but we are training spinal stability. So we want that low lumbar to learn how to brace because of your core tightness, not because your back muscles get really tight and hold it in place, okay? Big difference between those two working.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Okay? So now we're going to start building in movement of the hip joint while we create spinal stability. Okay, so the first one's knee out to the side and bring it back up.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
So Kegel, compress the core so the back's on the floor. Knee goes out to the side. Continue to squeeze that core, bring the knee back up. Then you switch to the other side, right? Continuing every single time that knee goes out, core, 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 core. As it comes back up, core, 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 core. You may take a break in between and then do the other side. Okay, what we're trying to prevent is the pelvic bowl from moving on the ground while we create
That's
this movement. We want to make sure that the core can stay braced through any action that the hip can make. Okay, and this is what we're going to try to implement into our everyday life. We don't want to train this just for here and now, but we want to actually apply this, say when we get in and out of a car, right? That's a knee coming in and out. We want to brace our spine when we create those kind of movements.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with adduction.
Good. Tilt with adduction. So get your pelvic tilt on nice and tight. Squeeze your knees. Then you're going to release your knees, keeping your core tight.
3,
Then release your core.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt with adduction.
Okay, so Kegel compress. Squeeze the knees hard. Release the knees, keep it core, core, core. Then release your core. Every single time, you should be making sure this is a core sandwich. First thing on, last thing off. It never loses anything in between. If it does, squeeze harder. Try again. The whole point is to learn how to brace that spine through these actions. Right? And if you don't have it right now, that's fine. Just continue to work on it,
That's
improve
halfway.
over time. It's creating the connection from the brain to the muscle tissue. That's why it's not a fast movement. We're not looking for speed on this. We want good, solid contraction. Very good.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Okay, pelvic tilt with knee toward chest, so you compress your core, squeeze really, really tight.
3,
Get those shoulder blades down and
1.
back still.
Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
And as you march here, make sure the other foot is light on the floor. We don't want to be pushing down into the floor with your opposite foot. Okay, and again, as we create this contraction, the point is that the pelvis doesn't shift on the floor, right? There should be no movement there. So Kegel, core compressed. Again, whatever it takes to get there, it might be thinking a Dorito under your spine, right? Your low lumbar, crush the Dorito. It might be thinking something's dropping onto your stomach, like a bowling ball, right? As it comes down, compress and hold that nice and tight. Okay. Good, good, good.
No, back.
That'd be your good mornings.
3, 2, 1.
Up.
Prepare for pelvic tilt with bridge.
All right, tilt and bridge. Remember, as you tilt, right, and squeeze your butt cheeks together to lift, nothing should change in your
2,
spine.
1. Pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay, so I want you to actually be able to lift and set back down just like your starting position. If you set down and your low back is arched up off the floor, you've lost your core. You kind of extended too far, creating this bending motion in your spine as you lift it, right? So we don't want that. Create tight compression. Again, you don't have to lift your hips all the way up off the floor to the ceiling. We might only go 1 to 2 inches if that's what it takes to just train your core how to create that movement. That's fine, right? But again, butt cheeks nice and tight, squeezing together. Oftentimes, people complain that their hamstrings start to fire and then it creates a cramp. Just think, push your feet away from you as you're going, right? So you're just creating pressure away. You're not actually moving them out, but just gently push them.
3,
Almost like you're trying to slide up.
1. Prepare for shoulder drops.
Very good. Get ready for shoulder drops. Here, we're just taking the shoulder blades out of the ears and back to the floor. Okay, get them set, then the arms go up to the ceiling.
3, 2, 1. Shoulder drop.
Okay, as your arm goes overhead, right, that's a relaxation of the shoulder, let it go. But as you return, you should be pulling down through your shoulder, right? Pull that lat really tight and pull that shoulder back, down, and back. Okay, we're always returning to that down and back position. I don't want to be rolled up. And resetting as often as you need to, right? You might just put your arms back on the floor, get your shoulders down and back. If that's a big challenge, just to get your shoulders on the floor, you might work that for a while, and that's okay. For a while, I mean a couple of weeks, that's fine. Because the whole point is to create consistency through these movements that we can apply them every single day. Okay, nice and tight core compression. Again, re-squeeze. Reset those shoulders. Try again.
3,
Reset the shoulders.
2,
Pull down.
1. Prepare for dead bug.
Good. Okay, and get ready for the dead bug. We're going to add the feet, the legs with the knees, or the knees with the arms. Okay, creating that cross-rotational
3,
pattern, just like if we were walking.
1.
Right?
Dead bug.
Opposite arm and leg. Okay, so I would go right arm, left leg, left arm, right leg. And your extension will always be dictated by how tight your core stays. If you go to extend your leg and that low back lifts up off the floor, you're extending too far. Don't extend as far. That's okay. Just straighten your leg. You might straighten your leg just straight up to the ceiling rather than extending out to the floor. You might just go up, right? Pick
That's
what
halfway.
angle
you can do and still keep your core tight. Very good, ladies. Recompress. Recompress. Firm, firm, firm. Hold tight, hold tight. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Again, shoulders down and back, always trying to return to that position. Core is tight. You can even think, lift your tailbone up.
2, 1. Long rest.
Okay, fantastic work. So first round's done. Round 2, I want you to try to peel your feet just 50% of your weight off the floor. Okay, we're not going to go for lifting the feet all the way up. I want you to get that core compression as tight as you possibly can, and then begin to start lifting some of the weight off your feet. When you fire the hip flexor, it's going to want to pull your back, right? It's going to want to pull on your spine. So the whole point is we contract against that, holding the low back on the floor while you create that contraction.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt.
All right. Getting ready. Back onto the floor again. Start with the pelvic tilts, just contracting as hard as you can.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt.
So Kegel, core compression. Once you get that on, tiny bit of pressure off the feet. Just fire the hip flexors a little bit, set them back down, then release the core. Again, if you begin to fire and your low back starts peeling off the floor, just stop, reset your core, then try again. Stop, reset, try again. Okay, some of you might be feeling really strong through it, and that's fine. If you want to go to a hover just to get more of a challenge, that's fine. We'll be doing that as well for the third round, okay? So I like to progressively load your tissue. Just get that brain firing more and more and more. Think about your movement. The biggest problem we have is going through life with passive movements, never thinking about how we're actually accomplishing anything we're doing as we move. Or as we don't move.
2,
Seated
1.
posture.
Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fallout.
Awesome. Tilt with fallout. So again, core compression as tight as you possibly can, holding that to the ground. Pull a tiny bit of weight off your feet, out to the side, back up, then do the other side.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee fallout.
Okay. Every single time your knee is all the way out to the side, right, to whatever the end range is for you, I want you to re-squeeze your core, then bring your knee back up, right? So it's a lot to think about. Core tight, compressed as firm as you can, peeling your feet just a little bit, knee out to the side, holding that tight, recompress the core, lift the knee back up, set your feet down, try it again, right? Core compressed, lift the feet, other side down, recompress the core, bring it back up, then relax the core. Okay, again, we're not worried about how many repetitions you get. It's not about repetitions here. This is all about contracting and controlling. Your brain forcing the tissue to fire through your midsection. Think about it. Think about it.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with adduction.
Good. So add in the roller between the knees, or if you don't have a foam roller at home, that's fine. Grab a pillow or bolster, whatever you've got, a cushion, put it between the knees and get ready to squeeze. So here we're going to squeeze the core nice and tight, compress, squeeze the knees together, then we're going to lift the feet gently, set the feet back down, release the knees, release the core. Again, you're only firing those hip flexors so much as your core can stay tight. If your core loosens up and your back arches, you're going too hard, okay? If you're able to just continuously peel and get the feet off the floor, fantastic. Keep trying that. We're going to wear that core out today, okay? I want you to feel it, okay? You should really, really feel that core having worked tomorrow. Making sure it's firing. And again, if you ever have questions, please ask or leave a comment down below. I will do my best to answer those questions and make sure that we help you as much as possible.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Okay, tilt with knee toward chest. So again, as you create this march, right, your opposite foot should still be lifting just a little bit.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Okay, and as you create that march and reset the core every single time. Squeeze, compress, hard, hard, hard. Make sure that nothing could squeeze into your stomach. Like if a bowling ball dropped on it, it's not going to deflate you, right? Compress against it. The good old belly whack. Lauren's really been
That's
going after
halfway.
the belly whack on me again.
Oh, shit.
She's making sure I got a nice tight core through the day. Oh yeah. She gets a wallop. She's gonna check Dad's. Dad's gonna check hers. Good, almost there. Continue to work through it, pressing that core tight, tight, tight into the floor.
1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay, tilt and bridge.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay, so I feel like I really need to mention this, maybe even for people who are new. This core work is not like most core work that you've done. A lot of training says navel to spine, kind of sucking the belly in and flattening and elongating. That's not what we're doing. We're actually creating a compression, which should almost pull the ribs into the hips. This is how we're able to load movement throughout our day. Okay, so
That's
that core
halfway.
compression, yes, it will create a tilt, but we're compressing all of it firm, really tight. Not just thinking navel to spine, okay? And I know women typically don't like when I tell them that the first time. I like when I suck it in. I get that often. But we're not training just for, sucking it in. We're training for
3,
movement,
2.
everyday lifestyle patterns.
Prepare for shoulder drops.
Okay, here we go. Good shoulder drops. Again, start by getting the shoulders down out of the ears, but also
3,
back to the
2,
floor, right?
1. Shoulder
All the way
drop.
down, back, down, back. And remember, if you've ever had issues with like vertigo or dizziness when you sit up, you can prop your head with a pillow here. Make sure that you're doing what you can to provide protection from that. Okay, again, re-squeeze the core. It's not only about the shoulders. It's all about the core and a little bit about the shoulders. Okay, a lot of bit about the shoulders, but
That's halfway.
because we're always returning. We want to work on continuing to maintain a solid posture, whether we're pushing or pulling or reaching. The shoulder position is so important to the way your joint will actually function and how it's going to either help itself or it's going to end up injured over time. It's all based on shoulder position.
3, 2,
Very good.
1. Prepare for dead bug.
All right. And get set for the dead bug. Okay, good
3,
core compression. We don't want a
2,
cat or a cow
1. Dead bug.
if you're doing the bird dog. Okay, so bird dog here is just all about balance and stability through the movement when you maintain just 2 points of contact. So I want you to think compress as hard as you can as you extend. Again, don't try to reach your leg and arm to the ceiling and make your spine move. I want you to actually keep that core compressed as hard as you possibly can as you create that movement. Okay, tight squeeze, doing
That's
your
halfway.
absolute best all the way through the movement. Awesome work. Okay, again, recompress, core tight. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Good, almost there. So compress again. Tight.
3, 2, 1. Long rest.
All right, wonderful work. So we're to the third round. So that means obviously I have to make it as hard as possible. So every single one of these, try to hover the feet, right? Hold it for 2 seconds, set it back down, then we create our relaxation, okay? So everything we do will be core tight, hip flexors either pulling or creating the movement, whichever one, right? So I'll walk you through each one as we go through round 3. Just do your absolute best. Everything that matters here is that it's a challenge. If it's not challenging, it's not going to provoke change, okay? Challenge brings change.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt.
That's why my wife is always changing, because I continually challenge her. Poor girl.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt.
All right, good tight pelvic tilt. Hover the feet, 1, 2, if you can. If you go to hover your feet and your back lifts up off the floor, re-squeeze the core harder, keep it down, and then try again. You know, I jumped, that's why I proposed in 3 months. I didn't want her to have any time to know what she was getting into. She was silly enough to say yes. Look at us.
That's halfway.
14 years on the 20th. Again, good. Core compression, squeeze nice and tight. Try to hover the feet if they can. Okay? And that's a gentle pull. I don't want you to pop up off your toes and think that's helping. You should be able to maintain a tight core and gently, slowly start lifting the feet. Set the feet back
3,
down, keeping the core
2,
tight.
1.
Then release the core.
Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Awesome. Same thing. Pelvic tilt nice and tight. Gently start lifting the feet. Knee out to the side. Back up. Set the feet down. Release the core.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Good, good, good. Here we go. Tight squeeze as your knee goes out. Continue to hold that core compressed. Really, really firm. Doing your absolute best all the way through. Squeeze tight, tight, tight. Very
That's
good. Halfway through. Then do your best.
It's pretty sad.
Compress tight. That's awesome. Good job, Marcia. And again, as you do this one, especially because you're lifting your feet off the ground, you won't move as far out to the side, right? But what we want to make sure is you're still maintaining
3,
spinal brace.
2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with adduction.
So that being said too, anytime you hear spinal bracing or core compression, it's the same thing. Okay, so don't get confused by the words. It's the same thing,
3,
right?
2, 1. Pelvic tilt with adduction.
Belly wax, Doritos, bowling balls, it's all to try to elicit the same response. Firm, tight contraction all the way through. Pressing hard, squeeze those knees, lift the feet, keeping the core, set the feet, keep the core. Release the knees, keep the core, then release the core. Very, very distinct movements all the way through.
That's halfway.
Very good. Halfway through. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Nice and tight. Doing your absolute best all the way through, ladies. Firm compression. Tight, 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 tight. Awesome work. Nice and strong.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Good. Tilt with knee toward chest. So as we march, right, both feet are hovering. Do not scissor kick. That's what I see a lot. Both feet are moving simultaneously.
Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Core compression. Tight, tight, tight. Hover the feet. Lift one. Back down to a hover. Lift the other. Back down to a hover. Then you can set them down. Or you can set down in between feet. Doesn't matter to me. but make sure, again, you're recompressing the core, forcing it tight, trying to resist anything from entering, like a baseball bat. It's kind of fun. I got to pull out our Major League Baseball bat that we had autographed by Justin Marneau the other day. Every so often we do something like that. It's just neat. Because with little league stuff going on, kids wanted to see a real bat, see what a real bat felt like. I said, well, I have a Major League.
He threw out my nose.
Oh boy, we're gonna have to take care of that.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay, tilt bridge. He won't bother you again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt with bridge.
And now a fly assassinator. Okay, tilt and bridge. Obviously, your feet are not lifting off the floor on this one, but I do want your core contracted as hard as possible, and then pinch that penny between your butt cheeks as though you're trying to flatten that penny like a train. Okay? Tight, tight compressions. As hard as you possibly can, making sure that you hold it through the entire process. Again, you're not peeling off the floor like a sticker and coming back down. Straight lift, set down, and your back should be flat to the floor. We're not losing any part of this core contraction as we go through this lift. Very good. Tight, tight, tight. Squeeze as firm as you possibly can. Compress, compress, compress.
3,
Holding tight,
2,
tight, tight. Good.
1. Prepare for shoulder drops.
Awesome work, ladies. Awesome work. Okay, shoulder drops. Again, reset that posture, right? Years of trained behaviors from either desk positions
3,
or
2,
children
1.
holding,
Shoulder drop.
or even potentially grandchildren, if that's what you're holding now. Shoulders always are taking a toll here. Okay, so we want to, again, train them. How do I get the shoulders down and back out of my ears? How do I get away from that slumped position? Fighting gravity is an everyday thing.
That's
Tall and
halfway.
tight, tall and tight. Compress that core. Shoulders down and back. Again, if you're compensating and say your arm has only so much range of motion, and then you try to move and create more range of motion by lifting your ribs, you're not creating more range of motion in the shoulder, you're just creating more movement, but it happens to be coming from your spine. And we don't want that to be coming from your spine. We want to increase range of motion in the shoulder, and the best way to do that is to actually
3,
increase stability
2,
in the shoulder
1.
blade.
Prepare for dead
Okay.
bug.
Dead bugs or bird dogs, right? Whichever one that you want to do here. But no matter what, core compressed, brace your spine.
3, 2, 1. Dead bug.
Okay, I'll do both here on display, starting with the dead bug. Again, as you squeeze up, returning to this position, it's like you have a box between your arms and legs. Okay. Tight compression, hold firm. Good, good, good. So that Lois, I'll give you something to think about. Reach your hand, knee towards my hand.
That's halfway.
Good. What's that? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It's just the process of creating the reach and try to lift, compress. Yeah, yeah, just like that. You should feel that a little different. Compress, compress, compress. Lift it up. Good. Awesome work. Almost done.
3, 2, 1. Long rest.
Very good. Super cool. Very good work today. That does it for our core day. Tomorrow we're going to be doing an upper body and lower body combined, so a total body day. The routine's a little bit shorter, so we move through it quickly, but we do work more. We work a little bit harder because we're moving so much. So please join us for that tomorrow, either 9 o'clock at our live again, or you can join us anytime because we are here for you on YouTube in order to help you move well so you live well. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have an absolutely wonderful day and go through our self-myofascial release to help your feet today. We'll see you tomorrow.
For the foot, we're going to be looking at 4 different layers of muscle tissue. We'll begin with the most superficial ones. This initial layer is where we will focus first, with the bulk of our work being done on the flexor digitorum brevis. On the inside of the foot near the arch and heel is the abductor hallucis, and on the outside near the heel, the abductor digiti minimi. The second layer is made up of the quadratus plantae and the lumbricals. The lumbricals are intertwined with the tendons of the flexor digitorum longus. The third layer of muscle tissue is important when concerning pain at the ball of the foot. Here, the focus is on the flexor hallucis brevis, flexor digiti minimi brevis, adductor hallucis, the oblique head, and the transverse head. We're going to begin our work with a lacrosse ball right next to the wall. Place your foot beside the wall and start with the lacrosse ball near the front of the foot or the ball of the foot. Slowly press your foot over the ball, moving the ball towards the heel. Once you reach the heel, continue your pressure directly into the tissue connecting to the heel. As you stand still with pressure, pull the toes up, then flex them down into the floor. Continue this process for 2 to 3 rounds. Then proceed to work on the ball of the foot, stopping incrementally to flex the toes and relax. This process should take anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes to work your way all the way back to the heel, stretching the fascia on the bottom of the foot. Be sure to use firm pressure as you flex the toes and pull them up. Be sure to breathe and relax as you work the ball towards the heel. Next, we're going to use a bouncy ball near the ball of the foot, in the arch, and near the heel. The point of this is to push with even pressure into the floor, allowing your foot to collapse or fold over the ball for 20 to 30 seconds. Then, lift your foot, move the ball to a new area, and begin to stand again with even pressure on both feet. Even pressure means do not lean away from the pressure, but keep the pressure on both feet for 20 to 30 seconds. Repeat this process 6 to 7 times all over your left and then right foot. You can work from the ball of the foot all the way towards the heel. Remember to relax and stand evenly on the ball. The final layer of muscle tissue is between the metatarsals, called the plantar interossei. These are small muscles, but powerful for squeezing the foot tight. Work each finger between each toe until you have reached the webbing. It may take you some time to get to this point because it is an extreme stretch. Regardless of how deep you get your fingers into your toes, create a squeeze on the ball of the foot, creating separation of the metatarsals. Begin to move the foot back and forth, creating a big stretch. You will continue this anywhere from 30 to 40 seconds. Using the fingertips, we will begin working the top of the foot. Bend the toes up and press your fingers between the toes up the foot toward the ankle. This will create greater relaxation of the muscles that hold the toes together. Repeat this process 6 to 7 times, then return to the pivoting motion back and forth on the ball of the foot.
Those two appear to be, but they're working for